It wasn't just another fire. Vermilion has certainly seen its share of calamitous fires. In 1875, 1891, and 1903, many of the stores and shops located along the southwest side of Liberty and Division, now Main Street, were destroyed by flames. In April of 1910, 22 cottages in Linwood Park went up in smoke. So very common did these blazes seem, at least to village outsiders, that after the 1903 conflagration a small headline in the old Erie County Recorder somewhat sardonically reported that "Vermilion burns again." Of course, those were neither the only nor the last big fires to take place in or around the community of Vermilion. During the first half of the 20th century there were major fires at the Wakefield Brass Company, Southwest Fish, 1925, the Fisher Lumber Company, 1938, and the Crystal Beach Amusement Park, 1947. Yet, of all these blazes the one that may be, at least historically, among the most significant is that which struck the Leidheiser and Booth fisheries in 1951. In fact, the Elyria, Ohio Chronicle-Telegram would later call it one of the worst fires in the history of this quiet summer resort and fishing village. By 1951, the Leidheiser family had been involved in the fishing industry in Vermilion for over a century. Brothers, George, Vern, and Jack, along with their cousin Lloyd Leidheiser, operated the business in 2 buildings located along the banks of the Vermilion River. They were sandwiched between the former Fisher Lumber Company, to the west, and the Moe's Boatyard, to the east. The Leidheiser-Booth relationship was symbiotic. Leidheisers caught the fish, and Booth marketed their catch. It was shortly after noon on November 16 when a bucket of tar that was being used to coat fishing nets caught fire and overturned. Quickly it spread to the walls and roof of both buildings. With a strong west wind fanning the flames, the Vermilion Volunteer Fire Department, under the direction of then Fire Chief Roy Hurlbut, struggled to extinguish the blaze. The situation was so serious Hurlbut requested and received assistance of volunteer firefighters from what was then the village of Vermilion on the lake and one company from the nearby city of Lorain. Unfortunately, all they could do was contain the fire to the general area. When it was all over, both buildings were completely destroyed and the Moe's Boatyard next door had sustained at least a $50,000 loss. A dozen boats stored in the yard had been damaged, 2 of them beyond repair. The Leidheiser loss was estimated to be about $150,000. One of the buildings contained much of the most valuable fishing nets and equipment in the village. Men from other village fisheries had been warehousing their better nets there and were using their older equipment for the fall fishing season. As previously said, this particular blaze was among the most significant in the history of Vermilion. No small part of the reason that this is true is because the fishery was never rebuilt, and, therefore, the Leidheiser Fish Company, after being a positive and productive participant in commercial fishing for over 100 years, ceased to exist. Although the industry continued to operate from various fisheries in Vermilion and along the southern coast of Lake Erie for perhaps 2 or 3 decades following this blaze, it is clear that the destruction of the Leidheiser fishery wasn't just another fire. It was the beginning of the final chapter in the life of commercial fishing in Vermilion's yesteryear. For reference, Elyria Chronicle-Telegram, January 17, 1951. Special thanks to Dwight McMullen.